Robert Eggers' Nosferatu officially came out, and I hope you guys brought your lotion. You're going to need your lotion for this film, and probably a barf bag. It was visually exotic, disturbing, and beautiful, all at the same time. Let's get into it. One thing I kind of want to discuss before I get into it is just discussing, my excitement for this film before it came out was off the charts. This film is directed by Robert Eggers, who is one of my recent favorite directors he's recently came out with The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, I believe was his last film, and now his take on Nosferatu. And with Robert Eggers' films, you have to have appreciation for the cinematography and his directing vision. He is one of the best in the game right now, and he does not disappoint at all visually and cinematography with this film. That is probably the highlight of what I'm going to say about this film. Kind of get out, the overall view of this film, in case you guys don't want to watch this whole video, is that this film, of course, is paying homage to the original Nosferatu. And this film is the definition of art, in my view. This film is very boring. It is very slow paced. You have to actually have an appreciation to sit and watch this film to actually enjoy it. Of course, the acting and throughout the film is spectacular, which I'll get into in a minute. However, this isn't a fast-paced film. It is very, very slow and dull at times. It is not very terrifying at times, really. There's a couple jump scares. Besides that, it's not very scary. But overall, Robert Eggers does what he does best. And understanding what the first film, the original Nosferatu was, is the same as this. It is a poetic, artistic film / story in the sense of Dracula. And on the side note, before we get into the positives and negatives, if anybody's a fan of the old Labyrinth films, it has been announced Robert Eggers is set to write and direct the new film. He is looking like he is rebooting or remaking the film. With that being said, the positives of Nosferatu. Let's just talk and appreciate for 1 minute the cast that Robert Eggers put together for this film. I saw an interview the other day, of course, Bill Skarsgård plays Count Orlok, Nosferatu. And since 2017, I believe, he was in running to play Thomas Hutter, Nicholas Holt's character. And by the time this film ended up coming around, he was pitched Orlok, which, again, Bill Skarsgård, is an amazing actor. He is very underrated in my view, and I really hope he gets a little bit more light after this film with his performances of, being Pennywise, being this. His acting range to even his latest action film where Boy Kills World or something, I believe it was called. He's a very young, up-and-coming. He's been around for a while now, so I can't say young, but he's very good, and I don't think he gets his flowers as much as he deserves, especially with his portrayal of this character. William Dafoe, of course, and anything he touches, I love that man. He does great. He does great in this role. But, of course, one of the highlights of this film is Lily Rose Depp, in which she gives a great performance with her facial expressions and everything she's asked to do in this film. And then going down the list, you have Nicholas Hoult. It's another great performance. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Films coming out every left and right. Luckily for him, this is probably showing that he's a lot better versus that Craven film that came out. He's another actor that's coming up. Like, this film is stacked with great actors and actresses that just made this film a lot better than if they wouldn't have a star-studded cast. Negatives of this film. It's boring. That's the biggest thing. I got bored with it, but, I love Robert Eggers' film because I go in enjoying what he does behind the camera. His vision, his art is what really makes me enjoy this film. Story-wise, it's not bad, but the story itself was so slow and slow boring, and that's a lot of the negative things I've seen of this film. A lot of people say it is boring, and I'll tell you this, it is over 2 hours long. It is a very long, boring film. There is moments in it. It does get tense. It does get interesting, but it lasts for 20 to 30 seconds at most. And then for another 20, 30 minutes, we're just dull and following these characters, and it's not a terrible thing, but like I said, it's a slow-paced gothic horror film. I think he done very well with the material because, again, it's a remake of an old film, and I wasn't really a huge fan of the original Nosferatu. It's an interesting story because it comes from an old novel that was based off Dracula. So, of course, you know, if anybody's seen The Last Voyage of the Demeter, there's a part of this film that shows that chapter from Dracula, and it's, like I said, Nosferatu, Dracula. It's the same thing. If you guys are looking forward to going to see this film, I do recommend you hesitating. If you love Robert Eggers as a film director and his art, you will like this film. If you enjoy these actors and actresses, you will enjoy this film. If you can handle long, slow-paced story building, you will enjoy this film. If you go to the theaters for a decent, fun time, you will not really like going to see this film in the theaters. I would recommend watching it when it comes out to stream or buy it yourself when it comes out to DVD, as it's, like I said, over 2 hours long, and it's kind of hard to just... It's a movie that I feel like would have been better if I was home, where I could pause at times, get some stuff done, and come back to, because it's very hard to sit through it. Like I said, again, for me, the thing that got me through it was enjoying Robert Eggers' vision and seeing what he created within this world. Bill Skarsgård, Orlok, and of course, like I said, positives and negatives. The art's there, and I get what he's doing, but it's also negative. A lot of graphic nudity in this film, I felt, for, I don't know, sometimes unnecessary. And of course, the very last scene of this film, no spoilers, you're going to look at it and you're going to be scarred. It is a very scarring visual scene for the last 5-10 seconds, and the shot shows it for about 5-10 seconds. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If I had a Barbie and some chicken legs, I would show you in some context, but I don't. I don't have any chicken legs. I do have Barbies. They're my daughters. No judgment. But that is one of the things that was pretty much, you know, something I took from this film is that last scene, because it was a little scarring, and I can still visualize it right now. But, you know, overall, I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. Like, artistic-wise, creativeness-wise, world-building, visualization, Robert Eggers is hitting it every time. Cast-wise, performance-wise, amazing. It's just, like I said, the slow-paced, dull, boring part that kind of brings this film down for me. It just, the main story just took too long to get to these points, and it just, parts of it, like I said, still kind of is basic and doesn't make sense. Like, I ain't gonna go into spoilers, but like I said, there's just some parts that I feel like we could have condensed this film a little bit shorter. But for some reason, we gave it, you know, made it over 2 hours. But besides that, if you guys have seen this film, please comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. But if you have not seen it, if you're looking for something to go see, you know, it's out. But I do recommend, if you do not like slow-paced films, I would take a second look at films out. And honestly, go see Sonic 3. That will be my next review. I did see that as well, and it is probably one of my favorite films of this year. That being said, if you have yet to do it, subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. I love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.